Desperate for a job to save her mother, she revealed a hidden connection that changed everything. Jessica's fingers trembled as she poured the steaming coffee into the chipped mug, watching the dark liquid swirl beneath the unforgiving fluorescent lights of Dadia's diner. Each day felt like a trial, yet she forced a smile, greeting customers as if everything was fine. But the weight of her world sat heavy in her chest. Her mother, the town's loving war veteran, was losing the fight against an unforgiving illness. The medical bills stacked high like a mountain she couldn't climb. A frayed photograph of her mother in uniform lingered in her mind, a reminder of the strength that once stood tall beside her. "You're doing great, Jess. Just keep your head up," she often uttered. But as Jessica wiped down tables, she struggled to keep her own head above water. How could she push through when hope felt so far away? Just then, a buzz rippled through the diner. A customer at the counter gasped, "Did you hear? There's a job opening at Parker & Company, and they're hiring." The words danced around the diner, and Jessica's heart quickened. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, a stable job with benefits that could support her family. Yet, as the chatter grew louder, a chilling reality set in. This firm required connections, a network Jessica didn't have. Frustration bubbled beneath the surface. Her heart sank as she realized that all her hard work, all those long shifts juggling plates and napkins, might mean nothing without the right connections. With her mother's condition growing worse, Jessica couldn't afford to sit back and let opportunity slip away. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. After the announcement drifted through the diner, Jessica's mind raced. She had to reach out, to take a gamble. Perhaps people would see her as more than just a waitress. She decided to post a simple plea on the town's community board, looking for guidance on job opportunities. Any help would be appreciated. But instead of encouragement, the responses cut deep. "Just another waitress looking for a handout," sneered one comment. Jessica felt heat rise in her chest, angry tears welling in her eyes. She brushed them away. Who were they to judge her? They didn't see her struggle or her desperation. Just as despair crept closer, murmurs began to circulate about her mother's service. A voice echoed. A man in town, the owner of that prestigious firm, was a veteran himself and valued those who served. Jessica's heart raced. Could her mother's legacy create a bridge she hadn't dreamed possible? As hope flickered like a candle in the darkness, Jessica steeled herself. She wouldn't let the opinions of others stop her. But just when she thought connections would be within reach, betrayal struck from an unexpected place, shaking her faith. She had confided in a supposed ally, only to find her words twisted against her. The delicate thread of hope began to unravel, threatening everything she held dear, including the fragile bond with her mother. Now, standing at a crossroads, Jessica's heart pulsed with the weight of a choice. Cling to her integrity and risk it all, or give in to temptation for an easier route. As the diner hummed around her, she felt the eyes of her community watching, waiting for her next move. Would she rise to reclaim her destiny, or would she succumb to the pressures that engulfed her? The question loomed, pushing her to confront everything she thought she knew about herself and her place in the world. Jessica sat in the back of the diner, her heart racing as uncertainty wrapped around her like a shroud. She replayed the betrayal over and over in her head, her face flushed, stomach twisting in knots. How could someone she trusted turn her words into weapons against her? Felt like a cruel twist of fate. She forced herself to breathe. No more time for pity parties. She was on this journey for her mother, for the woman who had sacrificed so much. The photo of her in uniform haunted her thoughts, reminding her of a legacy built on honor and bravery, a legacy that should mean something in this town. The late afternoon light filtered through the diner's window, casting warm orange hues on the retro decor. As she wiped a table, Her mind started to form a plan, a desperate yet hopeful one. What if she could reach out to her mother's old army friends? Surely, some of them had clout and might be able to help. They understood the sacrifices her mother made. It was an idea that flickered in her mind like the candlelight of the hope she was clinging to. After finishing her shift, Jessica trudged home, resolve hardening with each step. That evening, she dug through old boxes in the attic searching for the address book her mother had kept. It felt like trespassing into a sacred space, but she needed every ounce of support she could find. Memories poured out with each item she unearthed. Medals, letters, and photographs of soldiers bonding through shared struggles. Her mother had friends who cared deeply. Finally, she found the book, yellowed with age but filled with names that could still breathe life into her stagnant dreams. The first number she dialed felt like jumping off a cliff. It rang, each beep amplifying her anxiety. But then, a voice answered. It was deep and gravelly, trembling with familiarity. "Hello, Uncle Joe? It's Jessica." Her voice quaked, but she pushed through. "I need your help." He listened intently as she poured her heart out. Uncle Joe was touched by Jessica's fierce determination and commitment to her mother. He promised to reach out to some veterans he knew, at Parker and Company and beyond. This was the push Jessica needed, the kind that reminded her she wasn't entirely alone. In the following days, she found herself more hopeful. A renewed sense of purpose surged within her. She was still a waitress, but now she had a mission. Nevertheless, new problems arose as whispers about the betrayal floated around the diner. Cold stares met her from the regulars, their judgment seeping into her skin. "SNT that the girl who cried wolf?" one said loudly, laughter mingling with the hash browns sizzling on the grill. The sting of cruel words turned her resolve into ice, dangerous and sharp. But Jessica learned something in that moment. Everyone might doubt her, but she had to believe in herself. Days turned into weeks, and the phone call from Uncle Joe finally came. "I've got news," his voice boomed, infused with excitement and hope. "Parker and Company is interested in giving you a shot. You'll need to prove yourself, but it's in your hands now." Jessica's heart was pounding so loudly it drowned out the diner noises around her. This was it, the chance she prayed for, the opening she desperately needed. She could feel the pulse of her mother's legacy propelling her forward. But then a chilling thought froze her blood. What if things didn't go as they should? What if someone else had been pulled into the mix, someone dangerous? As she looked around the diner, uncertainty gnawed at her. Was she ready to face whatever lurked in the shadows of her ambition? The tension felt palpable. With each ring of the bell at the door, she realized that this was no longer just about her. This would test her family's strength, her integrity, and everything she believed in. With a determined heart, Jessica took a deep breath and filled her lungs with courage, knowing she stood at the edge of a precipice. What would she choose as she prepared to take the leap? The clock was ticking, and the stakes were higher than ever. Jessica's heart raced as she prepared for her meeting at Parker and Company. A swirl of emotions churned within her: fear, hope, and a sprinkle of defiance. She glanced at her reflection in the diner's window. Who was this woman staring back at her? A girl with unwavering determination stitched into her very being. This wasn't just about securing a job anymore. This was about reclaiming her mother's legacy. As she stepped through the glass doors of Parker and Company, the world inside felt electric. The atmosphere buzzed with conversation and ambition. She'd never been in a space filled with so many driven people, and yet, she felt strangely out of place. What if they saw her scars and doubts? What if they mirrored the coldness she felt from the diner? "Jessica!" A voice broke through the haze. Uncle Joe waved from across the room, his presence anchoring her. He waved her over, a wide grin splitting his face as he introduced her to a few veterans. "This is the girl I've been telling you about," he said, pride lacing his tone. But fear crept back. What if the admiration in their eyes dwindled when they learned the truth about her life? As the conversations flowed, Jessica tried to ease her nerves. Uncle Joe's friends spoke animatedly about camaraderie and sacrifice. She listened, socializing but holding tightly to the stories of her mother's valor. the army pride that surged through her bloodstream. Then the big moment arrived. She stood before the hiring panel, 4 seasoned professionals, faces lined with stories and battles. 60 seconds felt like an eternity. What makes you the right fit for this role? One man leaned forward, eyes scrutinizing. Tension crystallized in the air. Jessica opened her mouth but hesitated. The truth thudded in her throat. Taking a breath, she decided to bare her soul, let them in on her reality. I'm not just here to fill a position. I'm here to honor my mother's legacy. She faced adversity and fought for the values that this company upholds. She felt her voice gain strength, her passion igniting. I want to bring that same tenacity to this team. I believe in doing what's right, even when it's hard. Silence enveloped the room. Each panel member exchanged glances. Had she said too much? Your mother sounds like an extraordinary woman, another panelist finally said, softening the moment. Jessica sensed a shift, a flicker of understanding passing between them. But just as relief washed over her, the door swung open and a figure stepped in. A dark suit, slicked back hair, and a grin that oozed confidence as he strode forward, drawing attention like a magnet. Jessica's heart sank. It was Max, the man who had betrayed her, the one responsible for turning the town against her. The moment their eyes met, everything she had bravely built began to crumble. He smirked, and she felt her resolve waver. Well, what a surprising turn of events, he remarked, casting a shadow over her light. Jessica, are you all right? Uncle Joe's hand rested on her shoulder, grounding her. With Max's presence, she could see the questioning glances from the panelists. Old fears crawled back into her mind. Would they listen to Max? Would he twist this opportunity into a weapon against her? She fought to push down panic. This job was too important. Looking beyond the crowd, she clung to initial hopes, remembering her mother's strength. Just then, Max strode closer. This job? You don't stand a chance, Jessica. His voice was low, filled with mocking confidence. Her heart raced anew as she stood on the precipice of decision. She could either let fear dismantle her or turn that very fear into fuel. With fire sparking in her eyes, Jessica stepped forward, straightening her spine. You don't get to decide my worth, Max. This is my moment. I'm here to claim it. But just as the tension peaked, she noticed the panel watching closely, intrigued by the unfolding drama. They whispered among themselves, and she could feel their attention shift from Max to her. Was this her moment to shine, or a trap waiting to close in? As Jessica locked eyes with the panel, she could see their curiosity growing. What if her connection to her mother, the strength of her words, could become the unexpected twist that turned her fate? Now, standing amidst rising challenges, Jessica felt a flicker of certainty in the chaos. This was her story now, and she wouldn't turn away. What would happen next would test everything she believed. And it was only just beginning. Jessica took a deep breath, channeling her nerves into the words that hung heavy in the air. The panelists were leaning closer, their attention fully on her. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, reverberating with the urgency of this moment. Would they see her for who she was, a determined woman trying to honor her mother, or would they listen to Max's poisonous words? Ms. Parker, one of the panelists said, breaking the silence, can you elaborate on why your mother's legacy is important to you? The question felt like a lifeline, offering her a chance to share the heart of her journey. Jessica squared her shoulders, her thoughts crystallizing as memories swept through her. My mother, she began, her voice steady but infused with emotion, was a woman of immense courage. She faced challenges head-on and never backed down. She taught me that strength isn't just about fighting. It's about rising after every fall. When the town turned its back on me, she paused, recalling the hurtful words and accusing glares. When they didn't see me anymore, I felt like I was losing a part of her, too. Max rolled his eyes, his smug demeanor wearing thin. Save us the drama, Jessica. This is a workplace, not a therapy session. Ignoring him, Jessica focused on the panel. She leaned slightly forward, willing them to understand. I want to be part of a team that values integrity and perseverance just like she did. I've had to fight for everything I have. This role is more than just a job for me. It's a chance to make her proud and contribute to something meaningful. A flicker of intrigue passed between the panelists, and Jessica saw the beginnings of empathy in their expressions. They were listening. Max's smile faltered slightly, and she sensed his unease. Maybe he hadn't anticipated this response. She took another step forward, confidence swelling within her. If I'm given this opportunity, I promise to bring all my creativity, my work ethic, and the lessons my mother instilled in me. I won't let her memory fade away on my watch. The panel exchanged soft murmurs, their body language shifting in her favor. Felt exhilarating, like a wave rising just before breaking. But Max, realizing he was losing ground, decided to strike back. "Come on," he scoffed, arms crossed in mock disbelief. "You think playing the sympathy card is going to win you this position? The company needs results, not sob stories." A flash of doubt cut through her senses. Was she being naive? Was Max right? But then she found Uncle Joe's gaze in the crowd. His eyes were filled with unwavering support, urging her forward. "I may be vying for this job, Max," she replied, a smile creeping in, "but my mom taught me something important. A person's worth isn't determined by their past, but by their strength to stand and fight for their future." The air around her grew thick with anticipation. The panelists were watching, their expressions shifting. She could feel their curiosity build, the weight of her truth sinking in. "What if I told you," she continued, turning the focus back to them, "that my Mother South values can drive success for the company? Empathy, determination, and resilience, these aren't just words. They can reshape a team, push boundaries, and inspire loyalty." Jessica finished her thought, hoping she had struck the right note. She could see the panel contemplating her words, some nodding ever so slightly. Then, without warning, the door swung open again. Another figure entered, a woman with a commanding presence and a knowing smile. Jessica's breath hitched as she recognized the familiar face. It was her mother's former commanding officer, Colonel Harris. What was she doing here? The thought screamed in her mind, anxiety clawing at her heart. Would she back up her claim, or would Max twist this to undermine her further? Colonel Harris met Jessica's wide eyes and smiled, revealing a silent promise of support. Then, she walked towards the panel, all confidence and authority. What would her arrival mean for Jessica? Could this be the twist that changes everything? As Jessica's heart raced, she felt a mixture of hope and fear. The ground beneath her feet was shifting rapidly, and she stood at a crossroads once more. Would this be her moment to grasp the future she desired, or would it slip through her fingers yet again? Colonel Harris approached the panel with an aura of determination that instantly commanded attention. Jessica's heart fluttered in her chest. Was this a blessing or a curse? "Good afternoon," Colonel Harris began, her voice steady yet warm. She turned to Jessica and gave her a reassuring nod, as if to say, "You've got this." Then she faced the panelists and added, "I believe I can shed some light on why Jessica is the perfect fit for this position." Max's face twisted into a look of disdain. "And what makes you think that, Colonel? She hasn't even made it through the interview yet." Ignoring Max, Colonel Harris focused on the panel. "I knew Jessica's mother well. She was a beacon of integrity and resilience. In many ways, she did the impossible, not just as a soldier, but as a mother. She raised a strong daughter who embodies her values." The room fell silent. Jessica felt the eyes of the panelists shift. Ambivalence wore off, replaced by curiosity. She sensed a crack forming in Max's confidence as doubts danced like shadows in his eyes. "Jessica has faced adversity," Colonel Harris continued, drawing everyone in closer. "But rather than allowing it to defeat her, she has used it as fuel to push forward. I've seen her dedication firsthand at the community center. She volunteers tirelessly, helping kids who are struggling without the guidance they need. That's her mother's legacy, compassion in action." Jessica's heart swelled. It felt like a spotlight had turned toward her, illuminating a truth she'd fought so hard to uphold. She captured the panelists' rapt attention, rendering Max momentarily silent. "Colonel, while I appreciate the support," one of the panelists interjected, "we need someone who can guarantee results in our environment, someone who can handle high-pressure situations." Colonel Harris smiled knowingly. "Let me remind you, high-pressure situations don't come from the job alone." Jessica was part of a team that responded during the devastating floods last year. She stepped up, strategized relief efforts, and coordinated volunteers, often working around the clock. The panel murmured in response, the shift in energy palpable. Jessica felt a spark igniting in her chest. And more than that, Colonel Harris added, "Jessica is relatable. She understands the struggles of our community because she's lived them. That connection is invaluable in this business. It drives loyalty." Jessica could hardly breathe. The power of her past and her mother's legacy was unfolding before her, illuminating everything she had fought for. "Say something," she urged herself silently, desperate to add to the foundation being laid. "Thank you, Colonel Harris," she said, her voice barely a whisper before gaining strength. "Those experiences have shaped me, but I believe in more than just survival. I believe in lifting others as we rise. That's how we make a lasting impact." Max shot her an incredulous glare, clearly unsettled. "You come off as some sort of savior, Jessica. Not everyone wants to be saved. What if they fail?" The truth in his words stung, but Jessica stood her ground. "It's not about saving everyone, Max. It's about creating opportunities for growth. I want us to empower each other to build a dynamic team that rises together." Silence hung in the air, heavy with tension and possibility. The panelists exchanged glances, weighing the strength of Jessica's fervor against Max's condescension. Jessica's heart raced. It was time to embrace the full weight of her truth. She felt Colonel Harris's support like an anchor in the storm. Just when it seemed the tide had turned, the door swung open once more, and in walked a figure shrouded in mystery, someone Jessica had never seen before. The panelists' heads swiveled, and murmurs filled the air. Who was this new player, and how would they impact the delicate balance that hung in the air? As the new arrival scanned the room, Jessica's breathing hitched. Was she about to confront yet another obstacle? Or could the stranger be the crucial ally she desperately needed? Jessica's skin prickled with apprehension as the stranger stepped further into the room. She was tall, with a presence that felt both commanding and mysterious. Dark hair fell in waves around her shoulders, framing a face that was serious but not unkind. The way she carried herself suggested confidence, and that made Jessica uneasy. The panelists whispered among themselves, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern. It was clear that this unannounced visitor was not part of the original script. Colonel Harris maintained her composure, eyebrows slightly raised, yet Jessica could feel a tension radiating from her. "Are you here for the interview?" one of the panelists asked finally, breaking the silence. The woman turned to him, her voice smooth and level. "Yes, I was asked to join the discussion. I believe it's important for this panel to consider all perspectives." Jessica felt her stomach twist. What perspective could this woman possibly offer that would overshadow everything Colonel Harris had just shared? "Jessica," Colonel Harris said suddenly, breaking the moment, "if you're comfortable, perhaps you could share more about your experiences? This might clarify your role in the community and your vision moving forward." Taking a deep breath, Jessica nodded. She appreciated the opportunity but was acutely aware of the heightened stakes. She turned back to the panel, her voice steadying. "I've worked hard to foster connections in my community, especially in times of need. I believe in collaboration, and I believe in showing up for each other when it matters most. Whether it's a flood that threatens families or an after-school program that's underfunded, being engaged and empathetic is how we succeed." The new woman nodded, her dark eyes gleaming as she assessed Jessica. "Engagement is key," she agreed, "but metrics also matter. Results drive the conversation. People want tangible proof, not just pretty words. If you can't deliver that, what will happen when you face scrutiny?" Jessica felt the sting of her words, the doubt creeping in. She had always believed in her vision of empowerment over cold statistics. "I understand the importance of results," she replied, her voice stronger now, but success isn't just measured through numbers. It's in the lives you touch, the trust you build. Max couldn't hide his satisfaction. And yet, trust won't pay the bills, will it? Hard facts do that. The newcomer's expression softened slightly, as if seeing something within Jessica that intrigued her. That's an admirable ideal, Jessica, but you need both. What's your plan to ensure you can achieve both the compassionate approach and the results the panel is looking for? Jessica thought hard. How could she bridge the gap between idealism and practicality? By fostering relationships, I can mobilize resources. When we build a network of trust, we can support each other and activate our community to achieve the goals we set. The room buzzed with mixed reactions. Some nodded in agreement, while others, particularly Max, remained stoic. You're a dreamer, Jessica, he said, narrowing his eyes. What happens when your dreams fail? The air thickened with tension. The woman looked at Jessica, her gaze intense and focused. And what happens if they succeed? That sudden ray of unexpected support flooded Jessica with hope. She took a chance and turned to the newcomer, intrigued. Who are you? With a small smile, the woman replied, I have been where you are. I was once fighting against the odds just like you. My journey taught me that the right mentorship and support can make all the difference. Jessica felt threads of connection pull tight within her. The panelists shifted, clearly wondering what this newcomer's next move would be. This wasn't a distraction. It felt like a lifeline. As the stranger locked eyes with Jessica, she sensed a spark of understanding. But what was the catch? What truth lay hidden beneath this surprise ally's promise? Just then, a sense of urgency gripped Jessica. Would this uncharted connection truly alter her course, or would it lead her deeper into uncertainty? Jessica's heart raced as the woman's presence seemed to envelop the room. The panelists' whispers faded into the background, replaced by the pounding of her pulse in her ears. Who was this woman, and how could she possibly understand the weight Jessica was carrying? The silence lingered, thick and heavy, and Jessica was aware of every set of eyes on her, waiting for her response. Do you really believe mentorship can change outcomes? She finally asked. A mix of vulnerability and defiance colored her voice. Yes, the woman replied, her intensity unwavering. I know it can. I've watched it happen time and again. I once thought like you, building relationships and trusting they would lead to success. But I learned that sometimes you need a guide, someone to help you navigate the storm. Jessica shifted in her seat. There was something familiar in the woman's voice, a thread of connection running deeper than just shared ideals. And you found that guide? The woman's lips curled into an enigmatic smile. Let's just say I stumbled upon the right one at the right moment. The question hung in the air. Who had guided this woman? Jessica leaned forward, intrigued. What did you end up doing? I built a program designed to uplift my community, focusing on both engagement and measurable outcomes. It was daunting at first, but with the right support and strategy we saw change. Hope flickered in Jessica's chest, even as doubt loomed nearby. And you think I can do the same? Definitely, the woman said, her voice firm. But you can't do it alone. Surround yourself with people who believe in your vision and are willing to push you to meet those metrics. Your passion is your strength, but you need a plan that reflects both your heart and your head. For the first time, Jessica felt a hint of clarity behind the storm of emotions. She could see a path forward, one that balanced her ideals with the necessary realities of funding and results. Yet, apprehension still gnawed at her. But what if I fail? Failure may happen. It's part of growth, the woman responded, her expression softening. But you must remember that in failure lies the foundation for your success. Around the room, murmurs swirled as she spoke. Colonel Harris leaned in, her interest piqued. Do you have a specific plan in mind, Jessica? The question whipped through Jessica like a gust of wind, shaking her thoughts into focus. She hesitated, then opened her mouth. I want to launch a community project that connects local businesses with families in need. If we can rally support and collaboration, we can demonstrate our impact. Max interjected, eyebrow raised. And how do you plan to measure that? The newcomer's gaze flickered with something akin to pride. Jessica, if you can articulate how you'll track progress, your results, you'll keep them engaged. Make them believe. Jessica squared her shoulders, feeling emboldened. I'll create surveys, track participation, and document stories of families who have benefited. Testimonials will show the impact we make. Silence followed, filled with possibilities. Now you're thinking, the woman said, nodding in approval. Yes, but what if the numbers aren't enough? Jessica bit her lip, an echo of uncertainty rising again. Then find a new angle, the woman replied, unwavering. Prepare for every outcome. The only way forward is to adapt. Jessica's heart thudded against her ribs. Would she find this adaptation within herself? The fear of the unknown loomed large, yet something compelled her to press on. Who will help me? She asked softly, uncertainty creeping in once more. The woman leaned closer. Be open. Start here with the people in this room. You have allies. As their eyes met, Jessica felt a connection, the kind that hinted at shared paths yet to be explored. It was just the beginning. But would this unexpected bond hold the key to unlocking everything she dared to dream? The thought lingered, weighing heavy as each panelist absorbed her resolve. Would they support her mission or pull back, leaving her adrift once more? Caught in the delicate threads of hope and fear, Jessica waited for their response, her breath held tight in her chest. As the weight of silence pressed down on Jessica, she noticed Colonel Harris exchanging glances with her fellow panelists. Even Max had turned his attention fully toward her, eyebrows drawn together in concentration. A fleeting moment of fear coursed through Jessica as she imagined their faces turning away, their interest fading into indifference. But then something shifted in the air. The woman beside her broke the quiet with a deliberate nod, as if reassuring Jessica that this very moment was significant. Jessica, she said softly, her voice a steadying force. Now is the time to lean into your strength. You've ignited something here. Taking a deep breath, Jessica's resolve began to solidify. I'm passionate about what we can do as a community, but I need to prove it, she declared, glancing around the room. I know it's going to be a challenge, but the families in our neighborhoods need support. We can bridge those gaps together. There was a flicker of interest among the panelists. Colonel Harris leaned in closer, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. And how do you envision that collaboration? What can we as a community do? I want to create partnerships, Jessica said, her excitement rising. Local businesses can contribute resources and services, and we can gather volunteers from schools and community centers. There's strength in numbers. Max's skepticism softened into intrigue as he pondered her words. But how do you get businesses on board when they have their own troubles? Jessica's mind raced as she fired off her ideas. We can highlight the benefits, positive publicity, tax deductions for contributions, a sense of pride in supporting local families. It's a win-win. A countdown of potential outcomes played in her head, each point bolstering her confidence. As she spoke, she felt the electricity in the room pulsate. The woman beside her wore an encouraging smile, and Jessica felt as if she were no longer alone on this journey. But what if those businesses are hesitant? She continued, vulnerability creeping in again. We need to engage them, the woman interjected, her eyes gleaming. Share real stories. Show them the impact. Every business wants to feel connected to their community, especially in times of struggle. Jessica nodded, each suggestion building a clearer image. I can start small, focus on a few businesses willing to test the waters, she suggested. If I can showcase positive feedback early on, it could cascade into more support. Yes, the woman exclaimed. Little by little, you'll prove to them that this initiative is valuable. Colonel Harris leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as she nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps we could organize an initial community meeting, plant the seeds of collaboration right away. Get the conversation started before they can hesitate. Yes. A wave of optimism surged through Jessica. The gears were turning, and for the first time in a long time, she felt momentum building. Suddenly, a voice cut through the chatter. Count me in. It was Max, surprising them all. I can reach out to some contacts in the local businesses. It'll be a project worth their while. Jessica's heart swelled. Really? You'd help? Absolutely, he replied, a rare smile spreading across his face. This community project could be exactly what everyone needs right now. The energy in the room shifted, laughter and quick conversations erupting as ideas began weaving together. Jessica caught the woman's eyes, both surprised and grateful. Just like that, a potential network of support was bubbling to the surface. But as the discussions ignited, doubt whispered in the back of Jessica's mind. What if everything starts to fall apart? What if I can't handle it? The woman leaned in again, her presence grounding. Then you pull back and recalibrate. Just remember you have allies now. As Jessica absorbed this, the warmth of hope began to wash over her. But before she could breathe a sigh of relief, a sudden text vibration in her pocket sliced through her thoughts. She pulled out her phone to see her mother's name staring back at her. Panic surged. What if something had gone wrong? Her heart raced again as she glanced up at the panelists, their conversations a distant hum. Would this new path she was forging come at an even greater cost? The question hit her hard, tightening the knot of anxiety in her gut. Jessica? The woman's voice pulled her back. Are you okay? Yeah, I think so. She felt the uncertainty swirling once more in her chest, but the responders around her felt like a gravitational pull. If boldness could get her this far, could it also be the lifeline her mother needed? Could she really handle the magnitude of change ahead? With her heart pounding in her ears, Jessica took a step forward, feeling the stirring call of possibility and dread. Jessica's fingers trembled as she hesitated, staring at the screen of her phone. Her mother's name was like a beacon in the storm of uncertainty swirling around her. What could it be? Was she okay? Desperate to quell her anxiety, she swiped the message open. Jessica, I need you to call me. It's urgent. The words pulsated across the screen, each one sending her thoughts spiraling further into panic. She could feel the breath catch in her throat. The world around her faded, her mind racing through the worst-case scenarios. What could possibly be wrong? Her mother rarely sent urgent texts like that. Jessica? The woman's voice broke through the fog. You don't look well. Is everything all right with your family? Jessica nodded, but the lie felt heavy on her chest. I just need to check something, I'll be right back. She stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor behind her. Jessica stepped out of the conference room, heart hammering as she moved quickly toward the hallway. She felt the eyes of the panelists on her, but all she could think about was her mother. Once outside, she called back. Mom, I got your message. The line clicked for a moment, and Jessica's heart raced as she waited. Jessica, her mother's voice cracked, sending a chill down Jessica's spine. I've lost my job. They let me go, and there are bills piling up. I didn't know how to tell you. The words lodged themselves in Jessica's throat. She felt the ground shift beneath her. Her mother had always been the strongest person she knew. How could anyone let her go? What? No, what are you going to do? I'll figure it out, her mother said hastily, but Jessica could hear the quiver in her voice. I don't want you to worry. I'll find something else. No. Mom, please. You don't have to do this alone. I can help. I've got some ideas. I'm trying to start a community project, but Jess, this is your time. I don't want to burden Mom. It's too late for that. Jessica interrupted, urgency coursing through her. This is about us. I have people who believe in me. Maybe they'll help us too. I can reach out to them. There was silence on the other end, and Jessica could hear the shaky breaths of her mother. Are you sure? I don't want you to do something you can't handle. This is a lot to take on. Jessica felt her resolve bolster, yet the underlying fear still thumped at her heart. I'm sure. You raised me to handle what life throws at us. This is no different. Together we can face this. Her mother finally sighed. Okay, sweetie. Just keep me posted. I love you. I love you too, Mom. Jessica hung up and stood alone in the corridor, breathing heavily. With a rekindled sense of determination, she returned to the meeting and took her seat, heart on her sleeve. But what if I fail? She thought, feeling that familiar knot return to her stomach. The panelists looked at her expectantly, ready to discuss next steps. unaware of the storm brewing inside her. I need to think bigger, she murmured to herself. These businesses, if they can help, I can show them the impact on lives my mother's life. Max caught her eye. You good? She nodded, her expression focused. I want to pitch something new. Colonel Harris raised an eyebrow. What do you have in mind? The moment hung thick with potential. Jessica could feel it. The air crackled just like before. She straightened her spine. What if we could connect families who need help with businesses that want to give back? We can create a sponsorship program showcasing real-time impact. The room nodded in interest, and she felt hope bloom anew. But that spark of anxiety nagged deep within her. Would this all be enough? There was so much at stake now. Her mother's future rested in her hands. Alongside the community she wanted to uplift. And outside the room, silence bled into noise as ideas whirled like a storm. She was ready to harness that power. But the lingering fear of overwhelming responsibilities loomed over her like a shadow. Could she truly lead this initiative while also saving her mother? As the conversation continued and ideas flowed, Jessica's heart raced anew, knowing that her journey was only beginning. And in that moment, she understood what was necessary. She had something bigger to fight for now, and the truth was about to come out. Jessica sat there, heart pounding but full of purpose. A weight had shifted. Her mother needed her just as much as the community did. No more playing small. She would rise to meet the challenges ahead. Let us brainstorm a community outreach program, she said, the words spilling out like a waterfall of ideas. We can create a platform that connects families in need with local businesses willing to help. The panelists leaned in, intrigued. There was a vibrant energy filling the room, and Jessica felt the support of her allies tighten around her like a warm embrace. Imagine this, she continued, igniting her passion with every word. We showcase the stories of struggling families' real lives impacted, like my mom's. And local businesses can step up, sponsor events, or provide resources directly. Max interjected, his skepticism still apparent but softer now. You really think businesses are willing to dive into something this personal? Economic times are tough. They'll think twice. They will, Jessica said firmly, if we show them the impact they can have. If they realize the ripple effect of their contributions, they'll want to be a part of that change. Everyone wants to feel connected, especially in tough times. A hush fell over the panelists as they pondered her words. It mattered. The conversation began to flow, side discussions erupting as ideas intermingled. Colonel Harris chimed in, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Real metrics can be demonstrated through testimonials. We can put faces to these stories. That's how we'll drive participation. Yes. Jessica felt an electric thrill rush through her. And local media could help share our progress, generating that positive publicity will attract even more partnerships. Max nodded slowly, his defenses waning. All right, let us say we get businesses on board. How do we ensure they're engaged long-term? Jessica smiled, feeling the fire of her emotions harnessed into clarity. By keeping communication transparent. Regular updates, feedback sessions, and measurable goals show them their contributions are bearing fruit. The panelists burst into discussions as the momentum gathered. Ideas whirled around her, building a vision that felt solid, real. Now we just need a launch plan, another panelist suggested, and Jessica's heart soared with every word spoken. In that moment, she felt eyes watching her from the door. The unknown woman, the one who had come in without warning, stood just outside, a proud smile on her face. It hit Jessica then that she wasn't just fighting for her mother, she was launching a movement. But the gnawing worry remained. What if her efforts still weren't enough to save her mother? Just then, the connection in her heart strengthened. She thought of her mother, who had always told her to embrace her voice and use it to uplift others. She held steadfast to that legacy, knowing now that she carried an unbreakable link to her mother's strength. After the meeting wound down, Jessica found a quiet corner in the bustling diner to call her mom. "Mom, we have a plan," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. "We're starting a community outreach program. I want you to be a part of it." "I'm so proud of you, Jessica," her mother exclaimed, heartened by her daughter's spirit. But what about your job prospects? I'll figure that out. Right now, we need to connect families in need with businesses willing to help. LL work, Mom, I can feel it. Your legacy is what drives me. As they talked, Jessica felt a wave of warmth wash over her. It wasn't just about securing a job. It was about building something bigger, a community of strength and support, rooted in her mother's beliefs. Days turned into weeks, and through tireless work, Jess brought together families and businesses. Each meeting sparked hope, creating a chain of compassion that rippled throughout the town. The panelists from Parker and Company rallied behind her and saw her relentless drive. They became champions of the initiative. Eventually, as she stood overlooking a vibrant community event they had organized, a reality set in. The local businesses had come together, the people were smiling, her mother was thriving, and the once abandoned hope had turned into an unshakable bond. The cheers of appreciation flew into the air as Jessica's heart swelled with pride. This was a victory built on love, courage, and determination, a true homage to her mother. In that jubilant moment, she knew she wouldn't stand alone. The walls she had once felt pressed against her had crumbled, replaced by a community, a family, and her mother's legacy of strength woven into the very fabric of their shared success. The light danced across the scene, illuminating Jessica's radiant smile as she embraced her mother, feeling the warmth of their intertwined destinies. Together, they had transformed not just her future, but the future of everyone in their town. It was a beautiful beginning of a journey, and it was only just the start. This is the moment for change, and no one was going to hold her back again. If you haven't done it yet, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss the chance to be part of every incredible story that unfolds here. Leave a like now to really support the channel. It matters. Comment your reactions and your feelings about Jessica's journey. You'll want to share that moment. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how hope can transform lives.